Well, howdy, pipe pals. How are y'all doing? Holy Smoking Pipe Padre here on a very hot, hot August night. Another one, yeah. Okay, I'm smoking my skinny pipe, and there's a reason for that. Many of you probably remember my skinny pipe when I did my TSC challenge about 3 years ago. And yes, we're going to talk about the new TSC challenge, which I started actually this afternoon. Got some coffee going here. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something about... Let's see this. Yeah, the camera's right there. Okay. Well. So, tonight I am back with you, dear pipe friends. And I'm smoking a little, again, that wonderful gift that I got about maybe a year ago now, 8 months ago from Tim. God bless him. God bless you, Tim, wherever you're at in the world. I think you're from Canada. Or maybe you're from Europe. I can't remember. But a gentleman, without any doubt, a true gentleman. Anyway, he sent me a whole box of delicious tobaccos, and I've been trying to be responsible in enjoying them and not just opening them up like some irresponsible kid and then letting them all go bad. Just trying to open one or two at a time. But tonight, I just got to the point where I said, you know, I want to try this one here. This one here kind of just looked kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of looked like me. A little old man, little bald-headed little guy. You know, I think I have a little bit more hair than Mick McQuaid. And it sounds like a very Scottish name there, Mick McQuaid. Aye, lads. Right. So, anyway. So I just thought I'd give it a try. It's, you know what? It's probably one of the most unpretentious pipe tobaccos I have ever smoked in my entire life. It is just, there's no real fragrance. I mean, there's just a little rich kind of, again, non-pretentious aroma. It's just kind of like tobacco. I wouldn't say it's like cigarette tobacco, but it is indeed extremely mild. And I believe, okay. Oh, it says smoking can damage the sperm and decreases fertility. Good to know. Okay. All right. Bet you didn't know that one. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's September 1st. I said it was a hot August night. Well, you know what? It's a hot September night. And what am I doing? I'm smoking a pipe and I'm drinking hot coffee. Go figure. Oh, so just some shout outs. Just shout outs, and we're going to talk about a couple of shout outs. I want to put in a plug for Creators Design Pipes. Now, I have to be honest. I need to go check his catalog out and just see what he creates. But he's asked me, can you please put in a plug for me? And I said, sure. And I thought I did it last video, but maybe I forgot. Again, I was playing with that 360 video, and the one before that, I was doing my Vibram 5 fingers, you know, running shoes. Which, by the way, I still love them. They're great. So anyway, so go over there and check out Creators Design Pipes and get yourself a pipe. If you're new to the hobby, I would recommend, instead of going out and buying a kind of a really expensive pipe, you know, we've got all these wonderful pipe carvers, and I'm sure they'd appreciate a little bit of support. And smoking this again, this skinny church warden, and I'm I'm got my church warden pipe cleaners. There we go. There we go. So, okay. Keeping it dry. Keep your powder dry. Keep your tobacco dry. Okay. So, just a little shout out to him. And another shout out to... Shout outs are fun. Fred Straw. Mr. Fred Straw. Very interesting. Left a very interesting little anime. Very creative person. And so I just wanted to say, I noticed that. Thank you. Let's see. Let's see. And Michael, also in Deutschland, made a very nice comment, just kind of saying, hey, we kind of miss the old, more of the tobacco-based, the tobacco-based videos, you know, and the more fun ones. And I realize that I do sometimes step off into the deep, murky waters of politics and society and all the problems thereof. So, you know, again, it's what's on my heart and mind, and I'm sure a lot of people too, but maybe some people just kind of want escapism, you know. I mean, we all kind of do that, you know. Saw the Wonder Woman movie this week. It came out on iTunes. And although I you know, I do have my critique of that. And although I'm not going to, you know, really bore you with that, I just want to say that I thought, now again, I think the message was kind of subtle, but I think I picked up on it, and I thought it was actually a pretty good message. I mean, sometimes these hero movies are just a lot of fun and special effects, but this one did have a message, and I think it's a good message. It's kind of the message that I'm trying to, in many ways, promote, believe it or not. That even though, and I'll just leave it at this, just simply saying that, you know, in the end, I thought it was good because, you know, she was going to kill. She had the opportunity by the other guy, the guy that was playing the other god. I don't know if it was Zeus or Jupiter or whatever. He was the big guy she was trying to take out, actually. But the thing that was interesting was that you saw all these bad people, and so she has this tank, and she could kill the doctor woman who was the Dr. Poison woman, the bad, evil, you know, like, you wouldn't say she's a Nazi because she wasn't a Nazi, but she was a bad person. She was evil. And yet the subtlety and the interesting thing was, no, yes, she's done some horrible, hideous things, but real evil is something that exists and outside of human beings. In other words, it's something that is, it's like a poison we take in. We choose to take it in. We can do that, certainly. But the real essence of evil is actually another force from without. You know, and it poisons people and makes them do bad things. So she doesn't kill this evil person, the person that's done evil, bad things. She chooses, to kind of like set this person free, pardon this person, and go after the real source of evil. And I kind of think that's an interesting message. And in many ways, believe it or not, that's kind of where I'm at. You know, I really believe that, is that, you know, and that's why we need it. That's why we need, I think, to be open to talking about things and not shutting people down. For example, I was looking at the internet, and I came across some anti-Catholic videos. Anti-Catholic videos. Oh my gosh, say it isn't so. And so what did I do? Did I get upset? Did I get angry? Did I try to flag them and shut their videos down and their channel down? No, I just ignored them because they have a right to their opinion. It doesn't affect me any, and I dare say that probably never really would. You know, I've had people get in my face sometimes, very rarely. I have had people who have disagreed with me, but believe it or not, we've actually remained friends. You know, so again, I'm not against people having an opinion, even if I think, well, they don't understand, or they don't really, you know Catholics or priests or whatever. You know, it's like, well, you know, I'd be glad to talk to them if they ever wanted to talk. Chances are they probably wouldn't. So anyway, that's. But you know, did I feel threatened? Did I feel angry about it? Well, no, not really. So again, I really think that the thing that will bring us together, it's like Stefan Molyneux says, the way we really defeat evil is not by violence, but by argument. And if people have the ability to at least voice their concerns and their opinions, I keep thinking I'm looking over here on the video. Can I point to the little thing on the, I can't even really do that, can I? Well, anyway, there's a little spot right back there, and it looks like a mouse. It looks like a mouse cursor. I keep thinking, why is there a mouse cursor on my, now it's gone. Anyway, so there's no mouse cursor. Okay, so, and I again, Michael said, you know, more pipe tobacco and reviews and pipes and fun stuff, and he even said theology. Now, a lot of this is really kind of a segue from theology into politics. So, I hope, you know, he said something, you know, oh, all your videos now, it's, you know, Trump is good, guns are good, you know. I don't know when I've done an actual gun video. I have talked a little bit about firearms once in a while. I think way back in my earlier videos, I might have talked about that. But I don't think I talk a lot about that, you know, incessantly. If I do, I apologize. I don't, but I can't remember the last time I talked about the Second Amendment or owning firearms or, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know if I've actually talked about that. At least in, you know, for maybe years, a couple years even. Not that I'm, you know, against the Second Amendment. I'm for the Second Amendment. I think Second Amendment, First Amendment, you know, that's, you know, forgive me for saying it, but it's part of the foundation of our beliefs as Americans. So, and I know some people don't want to hear that, and I apologize maybe if that's offensive to you. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to be honest. But anyway, so I digress. So anyway, so here I am with the skinny pipe, and let me go ahead and roll this right now. Okay, well, old holy smoking pipe pod right here, and as crazy as it sounds, I'm standing out here, and it's only 107 degrees. It's only 107. That's not too bad. And I'm out here, and remarkably, I don't feel that bad. So anyway, Chris Kruger, the TSC man himself, Transformation Super Challenge, has issued a brand new Super Challenge to start this weekend. We're going to start this Labor Day weekend, and so what that means is we need to do an inventory, a baseline of where you're at. So now, I'm going to talk more about this in greater detail, but basically I'm going to do my 3-mile run, but because it is extremely hot and I am not as young as I used to be, and I haven't ran really for quite a while. I've been doing interval running intermittently, but not as much as I'd like to. So I'm going to tailor make this so where I can, I think, realistically, honestly do this. I got my GoPro here, and we're just going to go for a run walk, just see how it all works out, and basically that's what we're going to try and do. And then I'm going to have this video playing up in the rest of the video for my rest of my video. So basically we're going to start this now. I've got my AirPods, I got my iPhone, I have my my watch here too. I gotta do something here now. Let's see, what do I want to do? Okay, I don't have my glasses now. That's I need my glasses. I need my glasses. Okay, I need my glasses here. Okay, I need to set, let's see, I guess a stopwatch? Nope, that's not what I want. That's a timer. Don't want a timer. Here's the stopwatch. Okay. So there's the stopwatch. Is it going to work? Okay, looks like a stopwatch. Okay, so I want to see how long it's going to take me. I got my app here. This is an interval run app. So we're going to start this, and we're going to start that.
For walking in 3, 2.
Okay, that's good.
1. Walk for 5.
Now I've got to get the Bluetooth to work on that. Let's see, AirPods. Okay, hopefully they'll be working. Okay, it says they're working. Okay, so hopefully now we've got the walking app, and hopefully that will kick in. So that's what I'm going to try to do. That's what we're doing with this little video today. Okay, I'm back. Now, this video is going to play up here somewhere, or maybe we're here. I can't remember where I'm going to put it. But I started my TSC challenge this afternoon. As incredible as this is going to sound, it's true, and I had the video to prove it. It was 109 degrees outside today, and by the time I got actually into my interval run, my run walk, it's basically a run walk, but it's you'll see this. You start out 5 minutes walking, then you run for a minute, and then you walk for a minute and a half, then you run for a minute, then you walk for a minute and a half, and you do that. And I did a run walk, interval run for my 3-mile baseline TSC challenge, week 0, to give me an idea of where I'm at, where I need to improve. Now, I want to share this with you. Now, 3 years ago, I did this TSC challenge. I was probably in a little bit better shape than I was now, and that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do this now, is to try to get back into shape and lose the rest of the weight. And I'm happy to say that this past week, man, I have been super good. I'm going to say that. I've been super good as far as my diet goes. Now, Sunday, I had a blowout. That was incredible. Well, it wasn't that incredible. I just had a little bit of a chocolate pie. I think I ate half of that over a course of like 4 or 5 hours. And I had a bit of a pizza. I had, well, 3/4 of a pizza. But again, not all in one sitting, but just throughout the day. I got it, early in the afternoon. And by about 7 o'clock at night, I was done. And I had the rest of it. I just said, you know what, I don't need this. So anyway. But
as a crow flies, maybe 20 miles.
But Monday, Monday morning, let me tell you what, it was not fun. It was hard, but I've done it so many times before. It's like, well, you paid, you wanted to have that, so pay the price. You're going to have to pay the price. So, but my diet has basically been doing the intermittent fasting, and for dinner I've just had green spinach smoothies. I have the Vitamix, and I said, you know what, I can use this Vitamix to my advantage now, and basically made spinach smoothies for my dinner. And I did that for the last 5 nights. Had one again tonight, and I had a blood test today, and I think I'm going to get a good blood test. I mean, I actually studied for this test, believe it or not, because I was supposed to do a fasting test, and my fasting glucose was good. I mean, my fasting glucose, but excuse me, my postprandial, I guess that's what they call it, after you've eaten, like an hour and a half, 2 hours after you've eaten, was reasonable, was not elevated. It was like, probably even a little bit low for a postprandial reading, so I'm really happy about that. So when I got back, though, and you're watching the running, I might have to speed that up a little bit. I probably will, or maybe just cut it short. But anyway, did the 3-mile run. Now, again, we're going to talk about this. The run was not, it was in no way am I breaking any records. I'm 60 years old, and I'm even amazed that I was actually able to run the 15 courses of running. Had I been in better shape and the weather been better, I probably would have tried to run the whole thing. But I thought, you know what, that's way too extreme even for me. And as crazy as I am, I think that's not healthy. That's just not healthy. So
wife.
anyway, but I went out there and it was a little uncomfortable. Oh man,
Okay, so
halfway through, coming back, it was hard. And you'll see that in the video up here.
When I
But I
normally do
did
an
it.
interval run,
And I was really excited about it because I
it's
said,
like
okay,
run a minute,
you know,
walk
it's
a minute and a
not
half, run a
me
minute,
competing with
walk
anybody
a minute and a
else.
half, and you do that
And I'm
for
going to let
8
you know,
times.
you can go to Chris Kruger,
And I'm
good
thinking
Irish name, by the way.
that
You can go to
this
Chris
will
Kruger's
probably,
page, and if you're interested in doing the
get
TSC
me out
challenge
to a
along with
mile
us, I
and a
think it
half on
starts
both sides.
this weekend.
And then I just repeat
And
that.
you can maybe talk to him and see if he can give you the
So,
program.
me,
And he might even give it to you for free if you maybe say, hey,
the
of
first,
course,
revolution of running
anyway,
for
I'm just
1
saying
minute.
that, you know, but anyway, it's great because it's a 70-day challenge.
Okay.
And
So,
it's just, again, what I like about him, and he has a great attitude. He's a young guy. He's super athletic. He's super fit. You know, and he could really have an ego trip if he really wanted to.
steady camp.
Probably the reason why he doesn't have more subscribers, he has a lot, but he doesn't have as many as some of these really big name athletes people, is because he's actually pretty humble, he's pretty realistic, and he's very, very accessible. You know, I'm not saying he and I are buddies and we're, you know, we email every day and we no, but he's been very polite and, you know, encouraging even to me. I mean, reasonably so. I mean, so there are times sometimes I'll ask him a question or something, and he'll actually get back to me and answer my questions, which I really like.
Okay.
So he's not somebody that you can just, you know, I mean, he's not gonna, you know, you can't bug him all the time, day and night. But I mean, if you have a legitimate question, he's going to answer you. And he's done that for me many times. But the thing I like about his attitude
He's extremely noisy.
is he said that this program, instead of it like being for jocks and, you know, models and people like that and trying to, you know, impress your friends, you know, and get a six-pack and all that stuff, it's all about health and fitness. And he says there are several levels of this. And in other words, it's accessible to almost anybody that is in reasonable health. And a lot of people come to this program obese, overweight. That's where I'm at right now, about 25 pounds overweight. But again, you can make it to where you can do it for what you can do. You can take it and you can modify it. And a lot of these good programs, if they're really good, you can modify the program so it suits you where you're at. And again, it's sort of like what I said a couple of videos ago. I said, you know, as I was driving by looking at these people playing baseball, none of them are ever going to be in the World Series. None of them are going to be in any major league games. None of them are going to make scores or you know, that are going to be, you know, written in some Hall of Fame. But the important thing is they're out there playing the game. They're out there doing it. And I thought about that today. I said, you know, yeah, I'm an old guy, and yet I'm still able to do some things that I haven't done since I was in my 30s, maybe late early 40s. And I'm excited about that. I still can do this. I can still do it. Now, again, I'm probably going to do, you know, I'm going to put up my other little video here, the pull-ups and the push-ups. Very, very simple. And I probably, you know, again, at the end, if I did it 2 or 3 years ago, I was maxing out. I did 50 push-ups and I did 20 pull-ups or chin-ups. I got what, 3 or 4, maybe 8 or 9 push-ups, 2 or 3 chin-ups. That's it. You know, nothing really spectacular. But it's a baseline, and now I can improve. I can challenge myself. Am I challenging? Am I in competition with this 34-year-old guy named Chris Kruger and other 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds even? No. But I'm challenging myself. And that's what we need to do, is challenge ourselves to become better versions of ourselves. And that's what this program allows a lot of people to do. And at the end of 70 days, if you go through it, now, part of it is, I remember doing it the first time, and I said, you know, every day it was a little bit of a gut check. It's like, I got to go and do something that's going to be uncomfortable. Either I'm going to run in the heat or the cold. Actually, it was, you know, when I did it, it was in the spring, summer, 3 years ago. And then, or lift the weights. And because of Chris, actually, he sent me a personal email. He encouraged me to get a set of power blocks. You've seen those in other videos in the past. And I use them still. Still using them. So that's money well spent. Don't need a gym membership. So between the calisthenics and the power blocks and the aerobic stuff, you know, we're going to see. I already feel a whole lot better. I've been getting over the pneumonia. I'm just amazed that I feel really good right now. I mean, I'm out 108 degrees, and I'm doing. Now, some people say that's stupid. That's just stupid. You're just stupid. And maybe I am stupid. But at least I challenged myself. I pushed myself to do it. And now, and I came back and I took my glucose reading, which was only 88. And I was like, going, hey, check that out. It's been about 107, 115. It's starting to come down more progressively, and to where it used to be. And once I lose the 20 pounds that I've been carrying, once I get under 200 again, I think it'll all go back to normal, because it seems like it's dropping and it's being more consistent. And I'm excited about that. So anyway, I'm just saying that, it's a little bit of a challenge every day, because you've got to do something a little uncomfortable for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. When you do the weekly runs, they're like 20 minutes only. You just do a little 20-minute run walk, which is probably what I'll do in the beginning. But again, my goal is, okay, maybe I'm not going to run a 9-minute mile. I know that'll never happen. Well, it could. I don't know. Who knows? But the thing is, my goal right now is just to be able to run a mile nonstop. I mean, I was doing that 3 years ago. I don't think it's impossible for me to work up to that again, and then continue to build on that. So there you go. So, now here I am. Well, I'll talk about this in a minute. I haven't opened it, but I'll talk about it. So anyway, but TSC challenge, and this weekend is the beginning, a kickoff, and what you do is you just get a baseline. So you do your 3-mile run, like me, 3-mile run walk, interval run. You do your pull-ups and your push-ups, and you do the best you can. Go to failure, and that's where you need to be. And if you can do 10, great. If you can do only 2, if you can only do 1, at least it's a baseline for you and for me. And then during the week, I can start to improve. And again, as long as you are trying to improve just a little bit, you will improve. I was in a rest home the other day, taking Holy Communion and anointing some of the senior citizens. I'm not far behind. But the thing was that here are these 90-year-olds, and they're doing exercise. They got these, I guess they call them noodles, they call them pool noodles, these big, long, foam color things. They look like big noodles. And so they were raising those up, and they were, doing twists and everything. And these are people who are in their 90s. Come on. That's great. That's awesome. So keep up the good work, folks. Good on you if you try. That's all you got to do is try. A lot of people, and I'm this way, I'm afraid of failure. But the thing is that failure is our friend. It tells us where we're at, and then we can move beyond that. See, you don't have to say, well, I failed, I didn't make. I mean, at the end of 10 weeks, if you can do close to 20 pull-ups and 50 push-ups, and you can do your run in under 30 minutes, if I can ever do that again, that's going to be amazing. That's going to be fantastic. But the thing is, you'll never know if you don't try. So that's all I'm trying to say about that. So, okay. So I know some people might, get a little bit, oh, you talk too much about that. Well, I'm sorry. Not really. Okay. Okay. So Mick McQuaid. It's okay. It's not. It's a gentle smoke. It's flavorful in its own way, but it's not. It's not pirate cake, lads and lassies. It's definitely not pirate cake. Ooh, pirate cake. Or another stout blend if you've never tried it. And again, it does come with some warnings. A lot of the inveterate pipe smokers on the YouTube community will tell you that if you're going to do a nightcap, some people recommend that you have a full stomach. Of course, I don't know if that'd be wise, because then you might go, I don't know if I want to have a full stomach. But nightcap is rich. And it's an acquired taste, but it's quite lovely tobacco. Yes. But again, something you have to kind of maybe work up to. Not for the timid, not for the faint of heart.
On Friday evening.
So. Okay, now this is going to get into a theology a little bit here. I'm going to talk about two things. Still got the video, I think, playing in the background. That's me running around. I did that with my
I'm
GoPro
gonna try and do that again
on
this year,
on my wrist. I got a little wrist
and just see.
bracelet kind of a
how I
thing
do.
that you put your thumb through it and you just wear it on your wrist just like that. You don't need a selfie stick. Selfie sticks are hard to run with.
That next revolution there.
So anyway, I got a very thoughtful comment from somebody who, they were honest. They said, I don't know if I agree with you politically, but they said that you did open up a kind of a very interesting topic about, I guess, this whole thing with North Korea, which seems to be kind of bubbling over again. And and again, it's a very grim prospect that I raised in one of my videos. I said, basically, I asked the question: would it be morally justified for a country to launch a preemptive nuclear strike on another country if that country was threatening them with nuclear weapons? And I think the person said, well, I don't think that's morally justifiable. Well, it may not be morally justifiable, but, and this is where it gets a little political, is that it's already been, that question has already been answered. And the United States did feel it was morally justifiable to use nuclear weapons on Japan. And again, right now, a lot of revisionist history people are kind of saying, well, that was wrong, that was evil, you shouldn't have done it. America, bad, bad, bad. But in many ways, it did bring the hostilities to a close and ended World War II. Obviously, I grant you, it was hideous, the sad, tragic aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
What was I gonna say?
I wouldn't want to see that ever happen again. But,
We passed a mile.
and again, there is a just war theory. I believe that there is a just war theory. I know, again, that's also coming under revision
The halfway
for a lot of
turnaround
people.
point's right up here. Well,
And I guess what we're really seeing is that a lot of people today are not comfortable with some of the answers that our generation, the generations before us,
it's warm.
filled in the blank, basically. And people are thinking, well, I don't know if I like that answer. And again, it's not pretty, it's ugly, it's hideous,
Finer print.
but it's grim.
Looks like it's still the stopwatch.
But at the same time, a country does have a right to protect itself, just like individuals have a right to protect themselves.
Going to put out the
And, if somebody is planning on launching a nuclear attack and they can prevent it by probably using a nuclear weapon to stop that attack, I think they would probably be, maybe you might want to say morally justified, but they would be justified. The nation would. Again, that's why war is so hideous. That's why we really don't want war. But again, we don't live in a utopia where everybody's trying to be nice and everybody's trying to be equitable. We don't live in that kind of a world. We live in a world where we have crazy people. We have evil people. We have people who are influenced by evil. And some of them, yes, can be very evil when they act evil. And sometimes the response is not the one that Mr. Rogers would choose, or Barney the dinosaur, or maybe even Jesus. But again, it's sort of like you have to live in a world that, and especially nowadays, I can probably say this, which is kind of devoid of Christian morality. I have a lot of people, when I say, well, this is wrong because the Christianity says this is not right, most people say, well, morality is subjective. It all depends on what the individual thinks now. There is no objective morality. So, wow. So anyway, so don't hear me saying, though, go light up North Korea. Don't hear me say that. I'm not saying that.
My chest, or even my lungs.
I'm saying that if
But I'm feeling like this.
Guam or South Korea or Japan or the United States or all the above is clearly being threatened by a first strike, nuclear strike by North Korea, and we had the ability to take them out, and it was to use nuclear weapons to do that.
Close.
As awful as that would be, I would have to say that it probably, you know,
A little more than a quarter.
you know, again, I think there are a lot of people today that don't live in a very realistic world. They want everything to be sweet and light and nonviolent and happy and unicorns and rainbow flags but that's not the world we really live in.
Will be determined upon
And
this.
sad. I mean,
To go further,
that's
it'll be
why
a little
I
more
think
of a
sometimes
5K
people
than 3 miles.
don't like quote unquote
3 mile
conservatives, because
So we'll get
conservatives, they
more
get kind of the bad rap because they have to come around and make those hard decisions,
So probably at the end of the
knowing
first
that
run,
people are going to be angry, knowing that people
we'll
aren't
turn
going to be
around.
happy, because
Here we go.
they just have to be made. You know, it's not, we're picking on one group as opposed to another group. We're saying, well, for the good of the majority of the people, this is what we need to do. So, and sometimes you have to make hard decisions that are not going to be easy or aren't going to be pleasant, but sometimes they have to be done.
Maybe not a good
Instead
step
of
in a
just,
long time.
not making a decision at all and trying to find some, peace in our time kind of a thing, that doesn't work either. Appeasement doesn't work either. So anyway, okay, so enough politics, okay, for that. So, but theology, I want to say something that I've been kind of focused on, and again, it kind of washes over a little bit in the political realm, I guess, but strictly speaking, theologically, let me get a little sip of my coffee. Oh, let's see what the temperature is. The ambient temperature is, according to my Apple Watch. Oh,
Okay. I think
it's only 91 degrees,
that was the
and
last
about what at
actual
9:16 in the evening. Only
Right.
91 degrees. That's not bad. That's almost pleasant. That's almost temperate for here in Chico.
Nope, I think I got one more revolution to do.
Hmm.
Then I'll be set.
I'm surprised it's 91. I still thought it'd be like 101.
And
I wonder if the watch is
finish it
off.
up. But now we're on the home stretch.
Try it again.
We're on our way home.
Okay. Yep, 91 degrees. Okay.
Which is kinda nice.
So the last week, if you are Catholic or Lutheran, or I don't know who else uses our lectionary that we sometimes commonly share with other
So
liturgical groups, but this week
if I complete this,
Jesus has really been,
it's going to be the hottest time I've ever done it.
going after
Which
the
is,
hypocrites,
Not a bad
Pharisees.
thing. It's a good thing to challenge yourself.
And I have to
Make
be
yourself
honest,
a little bit every day,
of course,
because then
in our day and age, again, this
kind
gets
of
in a little bit of politics,
face something
ministers
difficult and
are
challenging,
kind of
you know,
seen now as the modern day version of Pharisees.
And you
Look at what's happening with this Joel Osteen and
been
the aftermath
little
of Hurricane
further.
Harvey.
gives you self-confidence.
Supposedly he was cold-hearted and didn't let anybody into his big mega church, and how dare him, and he's evil and bad. Well, there's a lot more to the story than that, and is he evil and bad? Was he being cold-hearted? No. Part of their church was actually flooded, so to bring in people when you already have some flooding going on yourself probably wouldn't be a good idea. Might not be safe. But eventually he did open his doors, and he's housed probably hundreds of people now, and he's also made the church a collection point for needed supplies. So he's done everything he's should do, but yet people are hating on him, and they're calling him a hypocrite. A hypocrite. Well, that's cheap, because unfortunately in our day and age, what people are really looking for in many ways are people to be angry at. People are angry and they want somebody to blame.
okay, that's
And they kind of think that the Christian church is supposed to be this social welfare institution. That's really that's the only reason why the church should exist. That's the only reason why it's good, Well,
so this
the
will
reality
come
is that Jesus didn't really
second,
come
the,
to
program.
do social justice stuff. And I know some people right now is, well, no, what about, and they'll start quoting scriptures at me. When Jesus ascended,
I think it's just
what did
the
he
light.
say? Did he say go out in all the world and build hospitals?
Okay.
He didn't say that. Did he say go out in all the world and build homeless shelters?
Okay.
Take care of the poor? He didn't say that. Did he say go out and create peace academies and find peace? No. He said go out and preach the gospel, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. In other words, make disciples. Teach them the truth of the faith. That's the mission of the church. Now, yes, we are called to practice corporal works of mercy, without a doubt.
Okay.
But that's really what Jesus is talking about. He's talking about that to us as individuals.
That's what I'm going to do now.
And there's a key reason for that, is because the individual is the one who makes the difference. And so when I look at these readings, again, people probably want to look at priests or ministers and kind of say, yeah, you're the hypocrite, you're the Pharisee. So, let me first of all start off by saying, hi, I'm Francis and I'm a recovering hypocrite. Okay? Got that out of the way. I mean, I acknowledge I'm a hypocrite. I know that. But that's really not what he said. In other words, it's almost like, Jesus is identifying the Pharisees as the bad guys.
So I just reset it.
And it's okay to hate the bad guys.
Now, I don't know.
And again, that's really not the message at all.
Maybe I won't.
He's not talking about hypocrites, he's talking about hypocrisy. And there's a very subtle difference.
Okay.
Because hypocrisy
A little bit of shade.
can be in any one of us.
Kind of feel a breeze.
And the reason why he was so frustrated with the Pharisees, now you have to remember that some of his closest friends were Pharisees. Nicodemus was a friend, he was a Pharisee. Jesus didn't hate him, Jesus probably didn't look upon him as a bad guy.
Okay, come on. Come on.
Joseph of Arimathea, who took the body of Christ and put it in his own tomb, he was a good guy, quote unquote.
Okay. Okay, good.
So again, Jesus wasn't saying that it's okay to hate on religious figures because they're all a bunch of hypocrites, don't you know? In fact, he actually said, be careful to observe everything that they teach you,
I noticed that
but just don't follow their example.
There have been some kind of strange updates.
Well, I think that gets into a very interesting thing, because what is their example?
And certain programs just launch.
We think it's, quote unquote, living a double life, being hypocritical, saying one thing and doing another, being a sinner. Well, we're all sinners. But that's not what I think he's really at. I think it's a lot deeper than that, and I think it's even more insidious. Again, he's not attacking a group of people per se, but he is attacking a very deadly attitude, and that is hypocrisy. But what is hypocrisy? Hypocrisy, especially when you look at it in light of what the Pharisees, how they received Christ, or in their case, many of them not received him, was that they thought they knew the answers. They thought they had it all figured out. Now we got to remember that in the beginning, the Pharisees actually were the good guys. Why do I say that? Because they wanted, what was their original number one desire? Not to offend God. They wanted to worship God. They wanted to do that with their whole heart, mind, body, and soul. Isn't that what Jesus says? The greatest commandment. To love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And your neighbor as yourself. Okay? And so what happens is they begin to start thinking, like we all do, well, the commandments are good, but we can make them better. Yeah, we can improve on what God says. I love that. We can make it better. God, we'll take it from here, okay? And so what they do is they add to the law of Moses, and they start parsing it out. Well, you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath, but what is work actually? And in many ways they were trying to, I think, be helpful. One of the examples of that is when the temple, they were selling the oxen and the sheep, and a lot of times people think, well, they were just doing it to make money. Well, maybe they were in the end, but in the beginning they were motivated by they were motivated by compassion, because in the beginning these people would come from far and wide, all corners of the world, to come to offer sacrifice. And so they thought, well, you know what? If we offered people these animal sacrifices that they could buy here, they wouldn't have to travel with oxen or birds or whatever they were going to offer up, goats, lambs, whatever. We'd have them here, They come, they buy from us. We give them what they need. We make a little bit of a profit, and it's convenience. It's almost like, do I dare say it, American fast food. It's a convenience thing. You don't have to cook at home anymore. You don't have to eat real food anymore. But we'll sell you this stuff. Now, in the beginning, it seemed like a good idea, but it did degenerate into just mostly profligate stuff. And the problem was that these money changers were clogging up the place where you're supposed to be worshiping. So the people that were coming to pray and worship, they couldn't because of all these money changers. So that's why he drove them out, is to make room for the real reason of the temple, which is to worship God. So, but the Pharisees decided, well, we want to not sin against God. We want to love God. And so the way we do that is to really kind of tighten down these rules, these regulations, and help people to live righteous lives. That's what their original goal was. But the problem was they locked themselves into this whole notion that this is how we do it. And this is what it means to be a righteous Jew. And if you are not doing this, then you're not righteous and you're outside. The best example I ever heard was from a Lutheran minister one time in the Marine Corps. This goes back early Devonian period, where he said, isn't it fascinating that the Pharisees thought they had it all figured out when Messiah would come? They thought they had it all figured out. And when he finally showed up, they missed him. See, what they did was they took something that was good and they turned it into an idol. That's the hypocrisy. And a lot of us can do that with whatever religious beliefs we have and hold dear. Some people like myself, I love the Latin Mass. Wish I could say the Latin Mass every day. Be great. But a lot of people today don't remember the Latin Mass, or they've never been instructed in the Latin Mass, and it would just be like trying to herd cats. You just couldn't get people to appreciate that kind of worship. Not to say that they're bad people. It's just that they don't have a point of reference. You have to kind of be, catechized in that. People like in social justice warriors. It's all about, taking care of the poor. Well, it's a both and kind of a situation. It's both and. It's not, either or. It's both and. But a lot of people think, well, who cares about the religious part of the stuff? Who cares about the teachings of the church? All that matters is that we feed the poor and we take care of the underprivileged. Well, Jesus actually came to save sinners. He didn't come to actually put a chicken in every pot. Again, he calls us individually, believe it or not, to do those corporal works of mercy. We're not off the hook. Some people say, well, what about Jesus when he said, if you were see me hungry and naked and and you didn't do that to the least of my brethren, you didn't do it to me. Yeah, I'm not arguing with that. I'm not saying that, oh no, that doesn't mean, that's wrong in exegesis, that's the wrong interpretation. No, I have a responsibility to take care of people to the best of my ability. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to just surrender everything and just let it all go. You got to be responsible for some of this stuff too. You got to be smart. You have to say, okay, I'm going to be compassionate. And this one thing is that this young guy, Chris Kruger, said, a lot of people right now, anytime we have a national or natural disaster, whether it's a earthquake in China or volcano erupts in Italy, or there's a forest fire in Northern California, which there is, or there's a hurricane on the Gulf Coast or Eastern Seaboard. A lot of people, they feel like, oh, I gotta feel this compassion, this empathy for people. I've gotta feel it, and I gotta, because if I feel this empathy, then that means I've done something. No, you haven't done a blessed thing except feel something. It's insignificant. It's like sometimes people look at, say, a surgeon, and they go, well, he sure is a cold fish. I don't think he cares about me. Because he's not a very emotive person. I don't think you'd want somebody who's really upset, having to cut into a human being probably is a very traumatic thing for the person doing it, as well as the person that's being done to. And all of a sudden you have the surgeon, he starts crying because he's just full of emotion, like, oh, I'm hurting this poor person. I'm cutting them up. I'm taking their heart out, It's terrible. No, you want somebody that can be realistic and rational and non-emotional. Because why? They need to be that way so they can do that job to the best of their ability. And this guy, Chris Kruger, who, again, doing the TSC challenge, he said something. He says, we need to move through empathy and land in compassion. And I thought that was pretty doggone insightful. Because empathy, you know what that gets you?
Okay,
That
folks,
25
I'm
cents,
telling
that won't even get you a cup of
Okay,
coffee
Randy.
these days. Empathy is, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just worthless for the most part. But compassion
This
is,
isn't
now I'm
good.
going to do
I think I saw
something.
34 minutes on the clock.
So maybe I can give some
Not
money
yet.
to relief. Maybe I can, you know, whether I donate to a reputable charity, or I, you know, maybe spend some time helping people rebuild their home, or maybe again, we're going to have a special collection this weekend in our church, and just like a lot of other churches are throughout the country, to help donate for relief efforts. Okay, it's what we can do. I mean, most compassionate people want to do something, and this is an opportunity. And again, you don't have to wait for somebody to take up a collection. You know, you can do something right now if you want to. You can find a reputable charity, and you can donate your time or your talent, your treasure. You can do that. No one's stopping you. And again, we all have, I think, if you're a Christian, you do have a moral obligation to help when you can, where you can, and to be open to compassion. But just so you can go around and, you know, put little flags on your Facebook page and say, "Oh, I'm supporting the relief effort." Well, I don't know if that is a whole lot. You know, maybe it does. Maybe it makes some people feel good, but if it's only making you feel good, I think it's kind of pointless. So again, you know, we have to move through empathy and land and live in compassion, because compassion is real action. And again, it's not judgmental either, because a lot of times I'm saying, you know, especially with that Dr. or whatever, Pastor Joel Osteen, is people just want to beat up on him because they said, "Oh, he didn't open his church." Well, he did. And then some people say, "Well, he was shamed into doing it." Well, you know, people just are quick to judge. See, that's what hypocrites do. They're the ones who, you know, have taken this a whole ideal and saying, well, if the church isn't helping, then it's no good. That's not the point. The point of the church is to help people. The point of the church is to, you know, lead people to a saving knowledge of Christ. If you can also help people in need, we're called to do that too. But it's not either or. It's a both and proposition.
Okay.
So as I was thinking about the hypocrite question this week, is that you know, what Jesus is trying to reveal, I think, to all of us is that we all, and this gets really dicey, and I know some people don't want to hear it, but we all have the potential. I'm not saying we're all hypocritical, but we have the potential, if we're not careful, to be hypocritical. Again, if we've taken a good and we've now enthroned it as an idol and made that the end all and the be all, that's what the Pharisees did.
Okay.
Again, they had it all mapped out. They knew all the answers, and they were wrong. Why? Because they weren't open to hearing
don't think it's that
other
bad.
opinions. Now, does that sound familiar? That might sound familiar to some of you.
Because
So that's
actually
why
pretty much,
I kind of,
the last part of this now.
you know, shared
Here
what I did today. I don't know if I'm going to get any negative feedback. I hope I don't. And if people want to talk about it, I'm certainly willing to talk about it. But again, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who has had some wonderful insights into some of the absolutely devastating history of the last century, and talks a lot about things that a lot of people don't want to talk about, because it really will reorientate your world. You'll be gonna go, "Oh my gosh, I never realized that." And that's kind of where I'm at, is like, ooh. You know, we think the bad guys are, you know, these people, and we get to hate them, and you know, no, you don't get to hate anybody really. Jesus never said it's okay to hate anybody. And again, I think some people have the mistaken notion that if you're like a Pharisee, you're a religious hypocrite, you're a Nazi, then we can hate on those people all day long, and it's okay. No, it's not okay to hate anybody. Again, going back to that Wonder Woman movie. No, can't hate on these people. They may have done horrible things, but the real villain is evil itself. And I think that's where we need to kind of start looking. And again, what Dr. Peterson says is, and you can go look on his webpage too, and he said that the thing that amazed him was when he was a younger person, he began to read about and study about the rise of the Nazi movement in Germany. And he said that he was horrified by how inhumane they treated other people. He said that one of the things that got him to really start thinking about this in a very hard way is that people would come to the concentration camps and they would be sick and emaciated, and maybe they had, you know, maybe they had typhus or dysentery, or they were just physical wrecks, and maybe they had pneumonia. And just because they could, maybe a camp guard would say, see that 100-pound bag of salt? Again, usually they'd be kind of wet. I want you to pick that bag up, and I want you to carry it from this part of the camp to that part of the camp. And those camps were big. I've seen Auschwitz, Birkenau, and they're not small. So I can't imagine getting off that train, say like I was 3 weeks ago, sick with pneumonia. I mean, really sick, because I wouldn't be just mildly sick. I would have been really sick. And some guard says, you need to pick up that thing and carry it over there, or else we're going to kill you. I don't know if I could do it. But this is the scary thing, is that Dr. Peterson didn't say, oh, isn't that horrible and hideous and the inhumanity to man? And he said what really got him thinking was, well, this is an intelligent person, a cultured person, probably a person of letters. They were, you know, educated. And for all accounts, many of these people had, well, not all of them, but a lot of them had good family lives. I know it sounds like, oh, how can you say that? But it's true. They were cultured. They were, you know, amongst their friends and family, you would never know that they were capable of these kinds of atrocities. And that's what got him to thinking, well, wait a minute. If these people, with their intellect, their charm, their familial love for their friends and family, if they could treat another human being like that,
That sun is hot.
what's to stop me from becoming like them? See, that's the uncomfortable question. In other words, I have the same potential. The same evil could inhabit me if I'm not careful. In other words, I also could fall prey to hypocrisy. So, again, it's an uncomfortable proposition for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people get very uncomfortable, and they kind of want to, they get really upset, and they say, well, no, I would never ever be like that. But you don't know unless you were in those same circumstances. It's almost like, and I'll close with this. Is
Okay. And there's the church.
has to do
There's
with
the rectory right there.
alcoholism. And a lot of people, and I was one of them.
All right.
The problem is that
Looks like-
before persons can get sober, they have to begin to see reality. When you're drinking and you're using drugs, your perception of reality is really, really altered. And you think that it's not as bad as it is when it really is. You know, you think that you can control it. That's the other deception that goes on. Oh, I'm in control of this.
Okay.
And before you can really get to step
We made it.
one,
We made
you
it.
got to have a step zero. Where does that sound familiar? You know, baseline. You know, before you can really go further, you got to figure out where you're really at. You know, just like TSC challenge, you do a baseline, find out where you're really at, and accept it for where you're at, and not worry about it. But a lot of people, and again, I was one of them, is they look at, say, an alcoholic, And what do they think of in their mind? They think of a little guy in a dirty coat, unshaven, maybe he's got a big kind of scraggly beard, stinky, hasn't had a bath in probably months or weeks at least. And he's got a little brown bag, and he's got a little bottle in that bag, and he's just nipping at it, and he's curled up somewhere in some dark alley, right? Classic image of an alcoholic. And what do people say? That's not me. That was never me. That will never, ever be me. Even though they might be drinking 2 bottles of wine every night. Been there, done that. They might be, just getting soused, left and right, trying to function. And they don't see how bad they really are. Because they don't want to say, they don't want to admit the fact that, yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah. That's step 0. And until they can do that, they don't have any chance of hope. There's no hope for them. There's no chance of recovery. Because if they can't admit that yeah, I am that. They might say, well, I'm not that little bum there. I had a friend of mine one time, had like 7 years in sobriety. And he was out dating with this woman, and they were getting to know one another. It was early Saturday morning. They were going for a hike. And it was early Saturday morning, and they were driving by a park, and they saw a little bum just like that I just described, with the little, dirty coat and the unshaven, and probably hadn't had a bath in weeks or days or whatever, and he had the little bag and the little bottle, and he was, And my friend, and it was one of those moments where you're going to get honest with somebody, and she goes, oh, look at that bum. Look at that drunk. And my friend said, okay, do I share this reality with her, or do I just let it go? So she made the comment about the drunk, and maybe, I don't know how long down the road, and he said, that drunk we just passed? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, well, I got to tell you something. He and I have a lot in common. And I don't know if they got married or not. I can't remember, but I do know that was one of those really wonderful conversations that you get to have with another human being. And if it didn't make them closer, at least some real sharing came out of it. And so, again, but my friend said, I recognize that that's me. And a lot of times I see the same thing, before I judge another person, I kind of go, the old saying is, if I point a finger at somebody to be critical, there are 3 more pointing back at me, okay? So again, you can point out the hypocrites all you want to, but just remember that all of us have the potential to be hypocritical. Okay, well, I think I'm done pontificating. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. We'll talk to you next time. And until then, light up your world and light up your pipe. We'll see you soon.